You saw Good no Shabbos, everybody. This is a book I heard from Rabbi Yankiv, Shem Rabbi Yankiv. I heard it from Efrim Kamenetsky. That's one of Rabbi Yankiv's sons. I was at the shiva with my sister at the time, and he came in and he told us this book. And it's a tremendous chizuk, and it's been used by myself and by members of my family to mechazik others, and they all feel a kayach of chizuk from this. Now, what is it? The extra words are there, shnei chayei. These are the lives of. So you said vayu chayei. So what are you saying it again? And you see by Avram later on at the end of the set, it doesn't say it, it doesn't repeat it, it just Eli Shmei Avram Asher Choi Ve'eli Bnei Shmei Chayei Avram Asher Choi Ma'ashon Mishon Mishon. It doesn't say Eli Avram. He said the reason is because by a person, a close relative, someone, there's always guilt feelings. There's coulda, woulda, shoulda. I could have done this and I didn't. I should have done this and I didn't. I would have, if I would have done this, it would have helped. All of these things are gone. Chayei is not going to, so it's not going to live 1 minute longer than what we just did. And that's the part that we have to understand. In other words, the Enochinami, we have to try our best, we have to do ishtadlus, that's true. But everything is b'yad Hashem, and we didn't do anything we shouldn't have done, and we would not have prolonged our life any more than what the Rebbeinu wanted. And that's something to understand that in the ishtadlus, in the normal ishtadlus, and coming to a doctor, coming to a thing, all of these are min hashemayim. There's nothing to do with the doctors. But there's a shliach. Okay, now, we know a medrash, well, there's a before and a meforshim, there's a medrash meaning, that says that, why was Avram so interested in the Ma'aseh Machpelah? Because one of the oxen that he took out by Parshas Vayera, ran away and he went to Ma'aseh Machpelah, and he knew that other Mechava were there, and he wanted it for himself. He held this secret for at least 37, for at least 37 years. Right? Because that's when the Akedah was. When Yitzchak was 37 years old. Sarah did not die until he was 37 years old. And this and that, and when did they come? When they came, they made the Psura. So he held a secret for 37 years. He held that in himself. Did not share it with anybody else. And the reason for it is, I'm not mechuyev to share it with you. Bailus, that I don't know that I own anything, is not bailus. Similarly would be neganirli baboyis. We have in Parshas Chayei. No, it's not in Chayei. It's in. It isn't. No, that's. Yeah, it's in Chayei talking. Neganeli babois. So what it shows you is that you have that you saw a thing, and Rashi says the Psura Teva because the Canaanim used to hide their money in the walls of the houses, and now you'd have to break it down, and whatever you call it, and by that you'll see that there's money in there, so it's a Psura Teva. It happens to come through a bad thing, and you have to also give the cheshbon of why of why that happened to me. Why didn't it happen just to have twins and have to have a bigger bedroom and I've knocked down the wall, redoing the insides of the house? I mean, why don't you learn that way? Elavos, there's a thing, of when something happens to a not good way, I have to know that too. The end result is the Meshach wants me to have a tova. But why didn't it belong with Shaykh in a land that's very nice? That if I was by Ori Miklot, I mean by what do you call it, a house, could be in a Bati Ori Chayma too. Bati Ori Chayma could be a house that becomes that I could buy actually from someone else. Normally you can't buy a house that's on an open field, you can't buy. But in Bati Ori Chayma I can actually buy from you. And that becomes the guy's field. So do I have to research the ownership of this house for all those years before I'm able to keep the money? Of course not. Why? Because the guy never knew he had the money in the house. It's meaningless. And you find stories, after the Nazis, after the people went back to Poland, and so when their houses were taken over by others, but they would just wanted to see the house, went in the back room, they made a hole in the wall, took out all the gold, the silver that was hidden there, and what he called took it out. That doesn't belong to the Polak, because he never even knew he had it. That's not called owning something. Same thing would be if I happen to do surveys on certain things. I know where the oil is, I know where the gold is, I know what all these things. And you know nothing of this because you don't bother with anything. I buy stuff from you cheap, so big deal. You're tough luck. That's not cheating anybody. So he didn't have to share it. He didn't have to tell what's his name, because obviously he wouldn't have sold it to him, or if he would have, it would have been an astronomical sum of money. And probably even Avraham Avinu would maybe not have had. Okay. But anyway, let's say how we have a taina on Efron here. The say is so Shoyim say a lot and they don't do even a little bit. They said I'll give Eretz Haba Meis shekel kesef, and I don't give you even a break on the price. I don't see anything wrong with that. And if you're asking me, let's see the Lashon even of the Seder the way it goes. Avram Avinu now needs a keva, so what's he do? He goes over to the Bnei Vayokan Bnei Meis Vaydav Bnei Chayei Slema. Ger v'toishev v'neichi mochem. I am a ger and a toishev. What do you mean a ger and a toishev? No, I'm a ger because I don't want my children to inherit the land. I don't want to inherit the land. I want my children first to inherit the land, and that will be in 400 years from now, from the day of Yitzchak's birth. But if you're going to force me, I'm going to become a Toishav, and I'll take the land now, and my children will have to be Avodim Taka for 400 years because they did that. But Lamaisa, I can still take the land whatever I want. Okay, so the threat is there. They heard it. Right? So what do I want from you though? I want to be buried among you. In other words, I'm moving into the cemetery, the Chiti cemetery. I'm not going to any other cemetery. And they answer him, understanding him very clearly. You can bury a guy in the most special keva there is, right? And nobody's going to keep it away from you because it's an honor for us to have you buried among us. And therefore, we'd like to have a saying of, this is a family plot, and we also invited Avram Avinu, the Nesiel Kim, to be buried among us. But we gave it to him, right? Very nice. We'll all do it for you. Yaakov Avram says, very nice, I love what you're telling me. And he says to him, if you really want me to do this, you got to point out effort for me, and he'll give me the Ma'oras HaMachpelah that belongs to him, which is at the edge of his field. I'm not interested in his field. I don't want anything from him except the me'oras hamachpelah. And I don't want his donation. B'kesev mali yitnana li b'seich machzor kela. I want to buy it. I want to say it's mine. It's not his. Okay. Okay, so now Efron holds sees now this is what I think if Efron was badness, if you want. He heard Avram's going to pay for this. Why? He doesn't want my donation. You don't want my donation, you're going to pay through the nose. Right? If you want to put down my donated by Efron, I'll gladly give it to you. But you'd want it to be that you own it? Never. $1 million, at least there. What am I going to do? Shma'ini hasodeh nosati loch. I'm willing to give you the field. V'ama'ora sheboi. And even the soda, not that you wanted the ma'ora, which is at the end of the field. I want to sell you the field. And that's all. I'm not even asking you for money at the moment. And he's waiting. I mean, I guess he's a good bargainer. He figures Avram's going to come up with the offer, so he's waiting for him. No, I'd rather pay for the. But he understood. Kesef hasodeh kach mimeni. Take the money for the field for me too. In other words, I hear what you do. You up the price. I'm willing to pay it. Okay. My Yagpas Macy, so Yahweh said, now we got to set the price. So, Ashma'ini, Aratz Arba Mei Shekel Kesef, Eini Menchom Mahi, Yismei Srekvor, and Avram heard, Levla Kesef Livla Chesed, Rashi has the verse in Mikabel, Miskabel, Suchorta, Bechol Medinte. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to mean, if there were different kinds of monies in their time or not. I would assume they're similar to the American dollar and the Hong Kong dollar. I don't know which one, the Hong Kong dollars may be worth more now, I don't know. But I'm assuming they're still not. So the idea is that American money is money. Any other dollar that's called a dollar is meaningless. It doesn't mean anything, it's paper. Now, American money is now paper too, so it doesn't mean that. But once upon a time, American money was silver. American money was gold. So it meant something. So that's what I'm asking you for. Like, it was interesting when the official rate of exchange, if I remember this going back, was still $35 an ounce. That officially is what the United States would pay, or Russia would buy ounces of gold from the United States for $35 an ounce. A jeweler would have to spend over $100 an ounce because gold was illegal. You couldn't trade in gold at that time anymore. You go off the gold exchange. We go on a silver exchange. And therefore, only banks can do that, or different countries. And Russia was taking us broke, and that's why we had to go off the gold exchange and off the silver exchange, because they were taking us broke. Now a dollar is worth paper, that's all it is. The only looks on it says $1, payable is a dollar. It's a dollar. Doesn't say anything. It's still silver certificate, no gold certificate, no nothing anymore, because it has no value. So that could be what he meant in the whole Medinte. In other words, there's money that this dollar was gold, this dollar was silver, it wasn't paper. All other dollars were paper, so that's what he means Mechol Medinte. Okay, and that's and when he did it, so then all of a sudden he bought it. I do not know what the machpelah means. We always know that the word machpelah is doubled. That's what Rashi thinks. All the way doubled. But two floors in the cane. It was pairs. It was what he calls. Abel. It says here, where does it go? In the Me'orah of the field of the Machpelah. What does that mean? Asher b'Machpelah. If you look at later on by Yaakov Avinu, Asher b'Machpelah. What does Machpelah mean? It's not the double. It doesn't mean double anymore. unless it meant, since he bought it for kvure, the Sodeh too, so the machpelah, besides being doubled, also goes on couples. And maybe that's what it means. That, in other words, this field is miyuched now for the burial of couples. Whether they'll be in a cave, they'll be in the field itself. The field will just be the outside of the field of the cave. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely has no shaykhs. You go there, it's a big area, the machpelah. It's a whole place there. Besides the building itself is massive, but the area around it, which I assume was the Sodeh, which is thinged over there, but it's not anymore what he did. Okay, that's what he buried it. Okay. Now we're going to Avram. He thought over this whole thing, and now thinking very stark, he needs a wife for his kid. Okay. Yes, it could be because he felt he could lose him, even though the way we touched up, there was no real nisoyin of killing Yitzchak. They never been mitzavi you to do that. But l'maise, it means something could have happened to Yitzchak, and the derech hateve, we would not have any Yerusha after him. There are no children after him. So therefore, I better get him married. Okay. And this is what he says there. So now he's talking to Eliezer, that Avram, and he wants to make him swear that he's going to do the best he can. That could be he's choshim. I don't have to go in to, I don't even understand it, the Pirkei of Eliezer. It seems to hold that Eliezer Avram was not such a good guy. Everyone seems to say he was a pretty guy, and he's counted as one of the guys that never dies, and so on like that. So I'm not starting up with them. I don't know, whatever it is. Eliezer Avram, as far as I'm concerned, was a good guy. Aber, l'maise, I have to make you swear because it depends. I knew you have an agias. You want your daughter to marry Yitzchak. In other words, you hold that your daughter is worthy, you understand chesed, and therefore you'll be my eved for a long time. You brought your family up in this concept of chesed, and Mamela, that's what you want, and there you have that negias. And I want to make sure that you're not going to do this. I'm going to go that you're going to go to El Artzi Vel Moladati. I want you to go to where I came from. Okay. Eliezer answered back a very funny statement. Let's say he doesn't want to go to follow me to this land. Shall I take your child back to the land you came from? Because as far as your child is concerned, it's not his land. He's the land you came from. That's all it is, as far as he's concerned. My parents came from Russia. It's not my birthplace. I don't belong in Russia. I don't even want to see Russia. I don't care what it is there. It's nothing again to me. Right? My parents, they came from Russia. They may have that, maybe by them, maybe the Alter Haim. But because it was that way, that it was the Alter Haim, and so you never let it develop to become this is the Haim. We got to remember that right now the reason that Klal Yisrael stimmt, a lot of the bigotries that existed in Klal Yisrael years ago, a Galiciana, what do you call it, Hungarian, a Sfardi, and then these were not shidduchim for me, right? All of a sudden, we have gone to find a shidduchim. What happened? We're all Americans. That's what happened. We're not made. We don't come from any place else anymore. We all live here. We all speak the same language. We all speak English. We all speak what he calls, so we can get married. The midas, or don't need this. We don't teach the old method. We have to go with with the effect the goyim had upon us, whatever it is, the concept of, as I remember as a kid, this is a free country, you can't tell me what to do. And that was, every little kid said that. Every Rebbe, everyone it was in there. May get a good shot in the head for it, but he still said it. Okay, and that's what we have to remember. And when we realized that, that's when we had the American rebellion for the American kids. That's when we really started to move. Okay. Yalva comes now to Aram Narayim, right? The same day, Nisim took place, the big Nisim, right? It's when the girls go out to get the water. Now, they didn't have running water, they had a well, and they got the well, get fresh water from the well. And the girls used to go out and get it. Now, the Gemara says that Eliezer asked Loika Hoigen, and Afal Pikain, God answered him Kahoigen. Even why was the Loika Hoigen? Maybe what would have happened if a Mamzeres would have come and someone else? And it's schwer to say that. I mean, Eliezer is asking for Chesed. He's asking what? I'm going to say, what am I doing? I'm going to stand there, and the girls are coming out, and I'm going to say, is this a true measure of chesed? Then he asked the right way. Mamzeres is not going to have that measure of chesed. She doesn't have the midas tavis that are going to have it. So he asked good. So, first of all, I think before you go into the stomach shot, I once read an encyclopedia. I haven't seen it in new editions. This was an old encyclopedia, and maybe they didn't have that much information to put in different things, so they wrote about these partim. But they wrote a very strange thing. A camel, and really everybody, drinks two ways. For instance, a person is thirsty. Give him a glass of water. He's dehydrated, you put him on intravenous. You don't want to put him on intravenous, you give him salt, and salt will make him thirsty, and therefore drink a lot more money. But as far as drinking water, all he can drink is one glass of water. So if that's the case, so when he asked, and we'll see maybe a little bit that this may be even in his Lashenis, is I'm going to ask her to give me a drink. And she's going to say drink, and she's also going to add, I'm going to give you camels to drink. He's talking about a drink of water. And that is an expression, Taki, that she's such a mean person, they wouldn't even give a thirsty dog a glass of water. That's a right to meanness. To hydrate a camel is very hard. What it takes to hydrate a camel, this is the way they described it, that the actual hump falls off. It's fat. That's all it does. It contains water. It dries out. It actually falls off its place. It falls to the side. As you give the camels salt, and the camels keep drinking and drinking and drinking, you actually watch a balloon explode. That's how it looks like. And therefore, it really should have been Eshov. I will draw water for you, not give it to drink. Maybe drink is a glass of water. To give to drink this thing there. When he repeats the story, he asked for Ashke, she said Eshov. In the story later, when he repeats it to Besuel, he asked for Eshov, and she answered Ashke. So that could be a reason simply that you couldn't make it look like a goody girl. Because you grow up in the house of Rishoyim, right? Unless there's something in it for me, we don't do good deeds. But we're nice people. We'd like to do the good things for someone if we can get something out of it. Okay. One of the things that we would get out of it is the fact that people will owe us. People will, what do you call it? There's doing personal favor, there's a milus in favors.
Wasn't it wrong because who's coming to the well would just be slaves coming to the well? The freed people, right, the upper class mentioned didn't come to the well, it was the slaves, it was mamzerim in the first place. Shifchas mamzerim. Who comes to the well to shlep water for the house?
The
Not
princess.
eligible girls?
The princess.
Really?
Yeah. The Moshe given and what do you call it? Rabbi. And it is a girl, a poor woman, a poor girl came, and she had a klei cheres, and she fell into the well.
Right.
And she's crying terribly. Who's going to go pick out her klei cheres from the well? Nobody. Then the princess comes, and she puts in the silver one, and it falls into the well. Now the one's going to go. Now she's dancing around because the one's going to take her picture out. It's going to take my picture out.
Right.
So obviously the princess came for the water.
Fills up the water. I guess 'cause
Now every princess came. I can't answer you.
I guess in Malamashal, but as Rashi says by
But if the marshal is there, though, that's what people did because that's how you live. That's the only water you have is the water. I don't know shifra. I get it myself. So the correct thing, what Eliezer should have done, Stamas a mensch, forget about it. It seems to be like, I'll give you another shot in a minute. Is the normal way a person would ask for something. A little girl, I see you have a picture. I forgot my picture. Do me a favor. I see you filled it up. I'm going to drink it. I'm going to rewash it. And then I'm going to fill it up. And I will give it back to you. Can you please loan me your picture? Everybody would do it, right? It's not what he asked for. I want you to pour the water into my mouth. That's what I want you to do. What kind of nut is he? Right? Okay. So it's not somehow an edler way of expressing. He comes over to a girl, and no matter how big the girls looked or how tall they were, they still knew they were 3 years old. Just like we know now. Kids bar mitzvah, you can be 7-footer, it doesn't make a difference, he's still bar mitzvah. And you have no havamina of being older. Okay, same thing by a girl. So he comes over to her, and I assume Avi Eliezer was a big guy. I don't know where he came from. Was he like Melech HaBoshen? I mean, well, according to again, Peggy W. Lezer, so yeah, I'm staying out of that one. Okay, so I don't know how big he was. But he was a strong guy. He helped Avram against Gedol Oima. He's a guy that controls all the Avodim of Avram Avinu, thousands of Avodim. He's the guy that controls them all. He's got to be pretty strong. And he goes over to a young girl and he says, I want you to pour water in my mouth. That's a bully talking. A bully. Bully, oh, please, bully, don't hurt me. And I'm going to give you the drink. Don't worry. I'll even give you camels to drink. So you shouldn't touch me. Doesn't prove anything anymore than I'm giving you camels to drink. And that's what he asked for. And therefore it meant nothing. But she answered him the right way. Loshin is a Loshin is a different shot, but I'm going to keep shooting like this. Rivki Yitzis, and anyway, what he says to her, Vayot Vaytemish said, I'm going to mat my mikada, pour me some water. Vaytemish to say Adoni, drink. Vaytemaher, Vaytet Kadal Shodo, Vaytishkeu, she gave him in a hand, he gave it to drink into it. Vaytechala Hashkoisa, he finished drinking. Vaytemegam Gamalach. Now I'll draw the water for you, so for you camels do. But only draw the water. As long as the camels keep drinking, I'll draw the water. That means you got to feed them the salt. But if you don't do that, I'm not doing it. The Maisa, she did it anyway. But the Maisa, that was the point that was like a Hagen. She answered you, I'm not afraid of you, Mr. Bully. And that's why I didn't brag that I'm going to do something else for you. just give you the water. Say, drink. But I see you're a bully. And the only way you're going to get to drink, or your camels are going to get to drink, is only if you're going to get someone to do the work for you. That's the only way it's going to happen. I'll do it for you. I'll do you a favor. That's the Mila of Rivka's thing there. And maybe, perhaps, if we would handle it her way, instead of the way we normally handle bullying, which is unfortunately a big problem in all the schools, is we say to the kid, don't let anyone take advantage of you. Right? What do you call it? Tell them, what are you, a cripple? You don't know anything there. What you have done now is create a bully. What do you mean create a bully? My son's not a bully. My son's a good kid. Right? But you're warning me that the guy's going to take advantage of me. What's the best defense? Offense. I'll take advantage of everybody else. I'll come over to someone and say, get me a glass of water. And maybe I don't know who will take advantage of me. So therefore, that's what we're doing. So we create bullies. But tell them, no. Fuck out, Mr. Bully. I'll do you the best of chesed. Oh, you don't want to think that I need you need my favor, so you won't be a bully anymore. Well, wonderful. I'll accept your tshuva. But Lamaisa, that's what a bully is. A bully is he needs to push his weight around. If it doesn't get him anywhere, or he gets insulted by doing it, so for God, he's not a mile in him doing it. Okay. So that is, I think, is what he was soy kehoigin and what he was kehoigin. Now, the Torah tells us a very mudne maisa about Rivka. V'anayra teres mara ma'oid misula v'ish lo yido. That's a maila about my mother, my grandmother. One of the imoyis of Klal Yisrael is ish lo yido. I mean, the fact that you're praising me with that is the biggest insult in the world. Why would I take such a... But what the Torah is telling us is that she is a... that she's a principled Balas Chesed. Because the guy is moniga v'rachmones. Have pity on me. I love you. I want you. Right? So Balas Rachmones. We'll take it there. We'll have Rachmones on the guy. It's not an Issa. What's the big deal? Right? No. By her, it's a big deal. And therefore, she's a principled one. As opposed to lover. And here I learn a little bit different than Rashi, and it's not the only time. Rashi says over here, when he takes off all the things, she comes and runs and tells her brother, Naira tagla be'tzimo kadva ma'elo rivka ochush ma'lovam va'yorot slovan alish hachutza lo'oyin Vahi kirois hanezem es hatzmid ma'idei achoyse shemesh divrei Rivka achoyse lemi koy divrei ish, and then he says Baruch Hashem, whatever it is. Rashi says Rotz, Alma Rotz. Why do you run? Why do you? He saw the money. He wanted money. It's not what it says in the Torah. It says he ran because he ran achutza. He ran outside. Didn't say anything about money over there. He first saw the money after he ran outside, or didn't think about it, or was not part of the story. So what's the money have to? What's it got to do with seeing the stuff? How did he know that Eliezer is a person from Avram that believes in the Torah and doesn't believe in Avodah Zarah? How did he know that? Right? Because how says he knows it? Baruch Hashem. First he's blessing God. I cleaned out the house from Avodah Zarah. How did you know I'm a guy who don't believe in Avodah Zarah? Normal people believe in Avodah Zarah. Where would you have someone who doesn't believe in Avodah Zarah? it seems to me that, they tell you about the early Christians. They used to have a weird fish. That's how they identified themselves. Even they started putting them on cars lately. I haven't seen them really lately, but last year I still saw them. They look like fish. And I think they're like, well, those were the symbols of the Christians. Avram Avinu also had a symbol. Shnei tzmidim, keneged shnei luches, asara mishkolim, their weight, tasel sadibris. How do you know it was 10? He had a scale with him, showed her, I'm putting it down on the scale. I don't know, that I can't answer you. But I guess once he gave me 2 bracelets instead of 1 bracelet, I guess it split it in half, and I knew there must have been something to this, okay. So it shows that this is how we identify ourselves. When he went over to Rivka and gave her this, and this young man, whose family you are, from this whole business, and can we come to the house? And he's planning the shidduch already. This girl is going to come into my family. And so they said, I want you to know what you're going to be promising. You're going to become an Oved Hashem. You're not going to be an Oved Avodah anymore. You have a new concept of Avodah in the thing. And I have to show it to you, that's what we mean. So he really ran out to do the favor. But when he heard the story and he saw the tzmidim and he saw that, oh, this is one of Abraham's guys. So he don't believe in Avodah Zarah, so I better clean out the house. I better get rid of the Avodah Zarah first. And that's what he did. The other place that did it, the seemingly these by Yaslam Botim, by Vahi, Kiyore, and Yaldis, Seforim, Yaslam Botim. Right? So, what's the Hatova Rashi says? Vayetaf lahem. And he says that what was the Hatova he made in Botim? It's not what it says in the Torah. It says Vayirav ha'ob. That's what it says with the Hatova. The biggest success a person has in life is when he accomplishes what he wants to accomplish. It's not Ashivus, it's not what he called. I want to be the biggest Rosh Yeshiva in the world. I don't care if I make a living or not, if I'm starving. But if I'm going to be the biggest Rosh Yeshiva in the world, it's going to be worth it for me. Because I got what I want. That's the Ikya. And that's what the thing over there. So when they went, they were Ma'aser Nefesh to save the babies. And they saw Vayirav ha'ob. They became big. So then obviously the Vayishim was helping them. So they were very successful. So that was the biggest Hatova they need. Vayihi, they were Yerei Elikim. They also didn't do for Gaiva, they didn't do for that. They did it because Yerei Elikim is Vayaslam Botim. He made him. Then he gave him the Botim. It had nothing to do with the mace of the Hatova. That's a little Botim. Now, Eliezer changes from Eved to Aish. And he remains Aish for quite a shtikale until he talks to Besuel, and he's telling them that in case you don't want to give me her, I'm going to go Yemin Shmuel, which means my daughter again, and becomes an Eved again. In other words, you're an Eved. That's Metzias. And you're Teila Mashke. You take a kisei over the Rebbe's Teira. What's the Rebbe's Teira? It's not your Teira. It's the Rebbe's Teira. And I'm going to be, what do you call it? And I realized that there's a difference between me and the Rebbe. Then I become a Ish. As long as I think I am the Rebbe, or I'm like the Rebbe, Eved Melech, and I feel I have certain powers and certain strengths and this and this, then I become a Eved. But if I realize what the difference between me and Avram is, and he realized right away, because the way he asked the question, the way it was answered, and why was he wondering, what was he wondering about? Of course he got gave him the bracha. Look what he asked for and look what he got. And of us, he wasn't sure, because he saw he asked the wrong thing. So maybe this is not the girl. He was pretty sure, but because he gave her all the stuff before he asked her who she is. So he was taking the gamble on it. Okay.
He didn't learn from her answer?
Huh?
He didn't learn from her answer that she's the right person?
Could be. Maybe he didn't realize it until she actually until she was mashkid. It says, when they finished drinking, that's when he first gave her the stuff. I mean, they realized who it is. This is all okay. So basically, he also was about chesed, but he didn't understand Avram. We were talking last week about, no, it wasn't last week, but in Vayera, that what's the milah that Avram is about chesed. How do you see the about chesed? About stockeh. He had a bunch of Arabs there, and they gave him food. So what do you see there's about chesed? It's how he gave him food. I had nothing in the house. That's about chesed. Guy has nothing in the house. You come to my house, and I said, would you like cold water? Would you like some bread? Would you like to eat something? Right? I don't have anything prepared for you. I'm about chesed. No, not about stockeh. About chesed, can I make you anything? Can I make you latkes? Can I make you feinkochen? Can I make you something special? Oh, you're making something special for me? Now I'm about chesed. Before, I was giving you food. You wanted food. No, you didn't have to give me how you gave it to me. But now you gave it to me and make me feel good. That's chesed. So when he always had kindness on Avram. I mean, Avram is inviting these people to come to his house to eat, and he has no bread in the house. What kind of kindness is that? You have to have bread in the house, you have to have cake in the house, you have to have things in the house. It's stale, it's everything else, but you got to have it where you can offer it. Right? And Avram says, no, that's stockeh, that's not chesed. I want you to feel good, I made you. He ran out to oil and said, make bread. So here also, giving a glass of water is not chesed. Him was chesed. He realized, what he's doing is chesed. Therefore he listened. Okay.
It's a big shvach to say about somebody's about chesed and about tzedakah. It's two different shvachas.
Different things.
We know about chesed.
Right, about chesed. Yeah.
Nachmish Gamzu was punished because of it, when I say. Nachmish Gamzu over there, he didn't give the food. He said,
right, that because he didn't even understand, period, of what they want from you. He learned the klolim. That's the way he learned Nachmish Gamzu. He thought that, if I react, it's good enough. No. When you want to be glad, you have to have food on you all the time.
So you sort of buy a maybe not here also.
We don't have it.
I think, I remember years ago once I asked a Korean, he told me that about Aaron had like coffee and cake and soup. A guy comes off the street, needs something, the special food, can make you something better. But a guy comes to your house, these walkers in the street, in the middle, of course he had water for them. Just to give them the more than they...
I'll give you two scenarios. That's how I always describe the cases, okay? Scenario one, east side. Guy comes to Beth Israel Hospital years ago because the only kosher hospital in the city. Everybody gets babies only in Beth Israel Hospital. I have no food for the husband. He has to walk down to MTJ. Can you give me a place to eat? Right? Go to Yankel. He's always got something good. He goes into Yankel's house. He has 5 kinds of fish. You want me to count them out for you? It's very easy. filter fish, salmon, carp, whitefish, and maybe some what do you call it, sole, some other thing, whatever, breaded stuff. Okay, maybe you don't like that, so maybe didn't have that. Okay, only 4. 3 types of soup, 6 types of meat, tops, bottoms, turkey, lamb, beef, veal, right? All these things there. Desserts, kuglen, or whatever you want there. Okay. What does he tell his wife when he sees her? You know, they eat good in that house. Nothing was made for me. They can't say, oh, they treated me so well. They didn't treat me anything different than anybody else they would have treated. Why? Because that's what they're in the house. That's it. What about the guy I haven't seen in 10 years? And I meet him in one day, and I say, you got to come and eat by me. And I wake up my wife, and you got to go make him something special. And send up his son. You got to make him something. And he makes him something. And come back later, and I'll give you more, because that's what Avram did. What, do you give him meat? When you give him a meat? For when do you make him a meal? For when?
But Avadi had for him a coffee when the guy comes in. He's starving. He's been on
Yes, so I'm saying. So what do you give him? Where do you see the coffee? Where's the coffee?
What type of... you have this guy
that's your Torah. That's not what it said in the Torah.
Look, he went the extra mile. Like, the Ched's making something special for you I'm going to make, but you shouldn't drop dead like Nachman.
Where does it say that in the Torah? I'm going to tell you where it says it in the Torah. Where they make Lashon Hara on the Poor Malachim. They tell you he gave him meat and chemor and chalav. What? He gave him chemor and chalav? Why do you wait so long to bathe it there? That's hours and hours later. Right? I gave him the chemor and chalav as soon as they came in. And what's chemor? Ice cream.
Ice cream. Butter.
Good stuff.
They gave something
And the thing there, maybe a malted, something like that. Good stuff there. And that's what he gave him. And then later on, I gave you the other stuff and stuff like that. So therefore, they never ate and they never what do you go? Okay. God Avram had two stories, 2 types of operations running. One he had like stands on the roy, where you picked up whatever you want and just kept going. And he had also where he came his personal guests. Okay. Yeah. Okay, he tells her the story there. And then we know another mashal. What happened here was, it says over here, Vayan Lovan of Besuel, that's that he was still around, right, and everything there, and he came. And then Vayema Nikyo, Vayema Nikla Naira, like where does it say? It says Ima. Vayema Achio V'Ima Teshev Anari Tonu. What do you call Yomem Yosa? This is I don't remember the whole story here, but I mean like this. The brother says, Rashi says, what happened to Besuel? He said Besuel was poisoned. You know, he intended to poison Eliezer. The Malach switched the base, and then so I don't understand. And he died. You're not going to let him go to the funeral? You're not letting her attend the father who's dying. You're not going to let her attend there until he dies? Stay with him and sit shiva with the family. Stuff, you have to leave right now. And Lavos, I didn't expect, it's a long term, it wasn't nickel that he's poisoned completely. Just looks like he has diarrhea or something like that, and the stomach is, what do you call it, has food poisoning, we don't know. So in the thing there, it can't admit that we poisoned him, so therefore it's always hidden that way. So therefore that's why it wasn't. But the Medrash seems something here that there was a question that he asked for 10 months, so that for the Avelus period of time, that's saying there now was and stuff like that. So if it's open-ended, he was right. What are we going to hold me up for? But if it's stuck at a specific time, it's a daughter. What do you want to do? I mean, what do you think though? So therefore, I don't know the exact thing, but obviously it must have been not that nikah that he was poisoned. Okay, they went, they go, and then, okay. Avram then takes a new wife, and he has 6 children with him. And these 6 children also have a bunch of nations that come from them. Media and Shva, other ones, right? So he gave everything to Yitzchak. Right? So it seems to include Yishmael too. Right? Because there were only 2 Pelagshim. He only had Keturah and Hagar. If it's the same person, it's 1 Pelagish, but at least 2 names. But why would he say 2? Tzaddik was, we see from here the Tshuva, Zek Rashi. How do we see? Vayikpru oisa Yitzchak v'Yishmael banov. By Esav, it says, Vayikpru oisa Esav v'Yakov banov. But Esav was still first. Esav never let Yaakov go before him. But here Yishmael let Yitzchak go before him. So he accepted the superiority, I guess, of Esav. It shows that he knew what the Avodas Hashem is and everything, and he did Tshuva. And he's called banov. So did he mean he gave him anything or not? I can't really answer you. I don't know what it means, what he gave him or not. Obviously he had a shaykhus with him, and what he called, and he does come back, obviously, afterwards. So he definitely was not like the others he sent away, Malponov, while he was still alive, to the east over there, and they want to claim those that Eastern religions that have often that he gave them the Shemus Hatuma as a matonet, whatever it is there. Okay. He's in Belachaybawi. Okay.
So who's the Lashon Rabbim of Pelagish? Who's the Lashon Rabbim of Pelagish?
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know what that means. Obviously, it can't mean Shishmael. I don't think it means Shishmael. So just yes, the B'nai. I guess that she was ready to take him in a Pelagish, so therefore Mamela or yeah, and the reason he's a son is because she's Shifras Chog or Shifras Sora. In other words, it was really her kid. Again, not like Rashi. It's more like the Ramban, so I'm going to leave that out meanwhile. Okay. Then talks about the Avteya, just when you begin the Fasteya and the Fasmare. And we were talking, looking over, there's a Lashon, sometime by Sora was using the Lashon Yefasmare, and by Rivka was called Tevasmare, and what do you call it? And by Rachel, it's she was Yefasteya and Yefasmare. And you have both. And here you use the Lashon Ma'oid. Right. So, and as I say, by Rachel, by Rivka it says Tevas Mare, and by Sora it says Yefas Mare. Rashi makes a chilik between the parts of Ponim to somehow the Chayin, I guess, if you want to call it, the intangibles, as opposed to the form of the face. So Toyar is the form of the face. So by Adoniyahu it says Ma'oid. What's the Lashon over there? V'atzovav miyomav v'yadua koch v'yisrav v'gam hu toiv Toyar Ma'oid. Doesn't say anything about Mara by Adoniyahu. And that could be because Toyar, if everyone sees, and talking about not in the actual physical form, but in the maisim of a person, if she would be a Toyar, then everybody, then the Surah and Levin would know she's a goody-goody. She's always doing good things for people. This way, she's a macher. Yeah, she happens to be in the right, the wrong place all the time. She's always doing good things, but because she just happened to be there. So not necessarily that it was a planned action on her part, and so on. And that was not nikel. It only becomes nikel usually when you miss. Give the marshal, like if you want to do it in Meissen, like by Daniel, his father never gave him Musa. Why didn't his father give him Musa? So that's because you're a good-looking kid. The other father doesn't give Musa? No, because everything he did looked right. He was always walking around with the sefer, always holding it. How many times you see the guy open the sefer? Never. Right? So just holding the sefer, though, that's good enough for me. Okay. The other guy doesn't have anything. The guy's always on time. That's what he called it. I used to give the marshal, this will date me a little bit, but maybe some people there still remember the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Giants. They all had at one period of time, when I was a kid, each one had a good center fielder. Snyder was the Dodger, Mays was the Giant, and Mantle was the Yankee. Mantle's out of the picture, he's not in the game. Mays, we all know Mays, okay? Home runs, the things. The say hey kid. Never saw godless in him about him. He never missed a ball, but you never saw him jump for a ball either. He always just glide by, catch it in his basket like this. He used to catch the ball, and he was always there at the right time, right place. Snyder, that was an exciting player. That was a Dodger. He would come and he'd watch the ball go there, and then he'd race back to the ball, jump up, catch it 3 feet off the ground, right, turn over 5 times and come up and show that he still had the ball in his hand. That was exciting. Which one was the better for? I don't know. But that's Toya and Mali. Snyder was Toya. Mays was Mali. The way we got Nicky, except the feel is, how come he never missed? No errors on Mays ever. What is he doing? What's he doing over there? So okay, then we get to realize that he's the what equal. That's basically the differences between them. And when you have only Toya on your first, and judges his kids by Toya, he sees what they do, and they seem to be doing the right thing, and because of that, he doesn't criticize them and everything else like that. He's looking for trouble, because he doesn't know what the kid really is. He's got to be able to question the kid and ask him, like, how come that kid? You always got a sefer, how do you ever change it? You got a new sefer at this time, the same one. What do you think there? Something like that, whatever it is, it should have been. That's the thing. Anyway, have a good Shabbos, everybody. Mirz Hashem, hope to be on next week again. Very well, a good Shabbos. Good?
Shabbos.
Shabbos.
Not smash you or something, your kid?